on a back-to-back on the road, maybe sit out if Kobe went all out. If he doesn't feel he can help that much with the team, why not sit out a game? You got nothing else to lose. You're not making the playoffs. And this is for me. I'm a Laker fan. So it's this is really hard for me to say, but if you're not losing anything, why risk injury when there's always next season and, maybe as the season after that if Kobe continues to play?
You make a good point. Why risk injury? Therefore, shut it down. Because you wanna win a championship. You know it's not happening this year. You should ship Nick Young somewhere else. You should ship so many of these I would say I would ship Nick Young out. I would ship out Boozer. I'm disappointed in Lynn. I'm disappointed with so much of their talent, so they can clear up some cap space and get big time players. Because if Kobe says, and he talks big game, he says he wants a championship next year, well, if you're going to get it, you're going to have to shut it down, and everybody needs to put their ego aside. Well, Kobe needs to put his ego aside and just shut it down. Because if you want to win next year, you're going to have to sacrifice, and you need your legs next year. You don't need it right now.
So you say shut it down, let the team tank. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying he shuts it down, everybody play hard, but
that's like last season though. We saw how that turned out.
Well, that's okay. Laker fans need to appreciate losing because other teams appreciate losing. How do 76ers fans feel?
I don't know how I couldn't imagine how 76ers
Exactly. Laker fans have been, constantly enjoying victories all the time, every single year. You have to go through some pain if you want to have some success, Lakers. So how about you shut Kobe down and then next year you get big time players?
But the thing is, Kobe wants to play. He's not injured. He's just a little tired. You can't stop Kobe from from playing because that's his competitive nature. He loves basketball. He wants to play. It's not like he doesn't love the game and go, okay, I don't want to play anymore. And I think Nick Young is a big part of the team. You don't think so?
Well, you can't win a championship with that guy. I don't think you can. No, dude, let's be honest though. Like, I don't want to be in a pressure situation where we need a bucket and he takes a step back 30-footer that clanks off the front iron. I mean, I can't win a championship that way. And let's be realistic. When it comes to winning a championship, you don't win that way. Does San Antonio have a guy like that? No. So how did they win last year?
I agree with you there. But I'm not saying you make Nick Young the focal point, but you don't think you could build around him and Kobe?
No.
You don't think so?
I think you could build around Kobe plus a Marc Gasol type guy or a Kobe plus I'm trying to think of some of the free agents that are going to be around next year. They could build off another all-star who can facilitate and carry the load like that. But I don't want a guy who's just going to be in a competition to try to outgun Kobe Bryant. You need to have, whenever you're playing with Kobe, you need somebody who's going to be able to facilitate and kind of be a little bit more dominant that way. Not just trying to outgun Kobe Bryant, because that's going to contribute to nothing.
So you don't see Nick Young as a guy who comes in and takes a load off of Kobe?
No, I see a guy just completely disrupting the flow of the offense. That's what I see.
But what offense is there for the Lakers? It's just Kobe
I don't know
because it's just Kobe taking difficult shots.
Yeah, that's bad.
Driving to the basket and kicking it out for a three or to Jordan Hill.
No, that's bad. That's what makes me upset because the Lakers actually have good talent.
We do.
They are a good bad team. If that makes any sense. Great talent, bad execution. And part of that responsibility falls on Coach Byron Scott for not being able to be that dominant personality. And at times, you need to grill Kobe Bryant and hold him more accountable. Phil Jackson did that. Phil Jackson put a leash on Kobe Bryant and Shaq. And look what happened. You need to do that in order to win.
Yeah,
I want the best for the Lakers. You know I do.
What?
I said I want the best for the Lakers.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's we're always just for all you listeners. We're gonna talk about the Lakers every episode. Every show is gonna. I don't know. They're gonna come up or something they did. But
well,
moving
ESPN
on,
talks about the Lakers more than we do, so we're okay.
Lance Stevenson. Hornets are supposedly shopping him. He's not buying into the system. He's not getting along with some of the guys. They said anyone not named Kemba or Al are on the trading block. What went wrong for Lance Stevenson during his time in Charlotte?
Coach Clifford. Because I think, and I know everybody's saying you blame coaches too much, but I think once he called out Lance, it was just over. And
yeah.
Lance, he has some confidence problems at times. And when you try to come after him and say personal attacks, it's not going to turn out well. I mean, he's not going to respond well at all. He's not like a Kobe where if you personally attack him, he rises to the occasion. It's not like that with Lance. With Lance, you need to console him. You need to be a babysitter. Okay, you need to go above and beyond and be extremely helpful. And I think Charlotte's locker room can't take Lance. I think Lance needs to go somewhere with veteran leadership and in a place where they're going to be dominant personalities that can control him.
Yeah. Like, do you see my best fit for him is Brooklyn.
Oh, why? Is it just because he's from New York, or?
No, I think Lionel Hollins would be good for him. I think the team would be good for him. That system, if you can package it, I don't know like what you'd package, but if you can package some sort of deal and maybe if Charlotte could get Joe Johnson or someone back, maybe that might be nice for both teams. But I think he would work nice in Brooklyn because it kind of gives him more of a free-flowing offense, where Charlotte's kind of it's free-flowing in the sense of Kemba Walker. That's it, getting to the basket, crossing people up, or getting it to Al Jefferson. And that's why I think Lance has been lost in the offense because he doesn't know his role yet. In Indiana, he knew his role. He was a slasher. He was a walking triple-double. I don't see that same defined role in Charlotte.
I know this is going to be kind of a surprise, but I think a Phoenix maybe. I mean, if you can trade some of those players or maybe draft picks, because it's a constant, free-flowing offense with Hornacek. And I think also Utah. I think Utah they play hard. They, play hard defense. Mm-hmm. And you can just give them the ball and say, we're going to ride and die with you. We're just going to put it all on the line. You have the basketball. You make all the decisions. And you could either go to Utah or Phoenix. Plus, they both have good medical staff. So if you want to extend your career, I think Lance should do that.
You always say that about Phoenix and Utah. They're good medical staff.
Well, I mean, if Lance wants to be a dominant star, you want to extend your career. You want to play longer than a Kobe. So go to Phoenix.
I could see him in Phoenix and end up. I could see Phoenix giving up like Gerald Green and one of the Morris twins or something like that. That could be a nice fit, but you still have Isaiah Thomas, Goran Dragic, and Eric Bledsoe dominating the ball for most of the game.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think about people saying that he needs to go back to Indiana?
I don't think Indiana would want him back, honestly, because you heard what they thought of when he went to Charlotte, and they weren't really like, oh, we're gonna miss him. It was kind of like, well, it was a business move. I don't know if that could be an interesting fit for Indiana. They definitely would need it for a little spark. I think he'd want to go back, but It just doesn't seem right to me for him to go back to Indiana. I don't think it would. For him, it'd be okay, but for the team, I don't think that's what they need right now.
I think the one area where he could go and kind of become a star is Atlanta. Because unless if Budenholzer is as good of a coach as he is, I know he's great X's and O's wise, but managing personalities. Imagine Teague, Stevenson, Horford, and a bunch of defensive specialists.
That's too much. That's Atlanta right now. I already think has a lot of mouths to feed.
Are you sure though? I mean, that's a pretty good big three with Teague, Stevenson, and Horford, and then you just have a bunch of defensive guys and shooters.
But what about Millsap? You can't. That's why.
Well, Millsap's gonna have to sacrifice for Stevenson because Stevenson's not backing down.
That's why I'm saying you don't mess up the chemistry in Atlanta. I think Atlanta has one of the best chemistry in the league. The way they mesh together and all their parts fit. I don't think you bring Stevenson in. That's too much because Teague gets to the basket. Teague dominates the ball. Horford has to get his. Millsap's going to get his in the post. You got to give Korver between 5 and 10 shots a game.
True. Would Orlando? I mean, I know I talk about Orlando a lot, but if you think about it, Orlando could still be in the thick of things and maybe get an 8th spot. Could they go after Stevenson? Because they have a bunch of young guys, and he could be the leader because he likes to be the leader.
I could see him in Orlando, putting him next to Oladipo. That would be a nice fit. And Orlando needs a spark like that. They haven't had a nice little spark plug, an eccentric type player, someone exciting for a long time. Probably not since they made it to the finals when they had Vince Carter and all that. They haven't had a nice little spark plug for a long time. He'd be a nice fit for them. He'd be a crowd pleaser too. They need something in Orlando to get the crowd going.
Yeah, the Vucevic up and unders don't excite the crowd enough.
Okay, what about Adam Silver saying no, he doesn't think teams are trying to tank or losing on purpose to help their draft stock or anything like that. What do you think about that? Is that just is that kind of a duh statement or what?
I think it's very obvious. I think so many people like to go after the NBA and talk about how the lottery is rigged, and they say it's a league that everybody's trying to tank. Everybody who's awful like Philly, but I don't think players, with the integrity that they have, and these players may, they may have to play for other teams down the line. I just can't imagine players trying to lose games on purpose. Now, I can understand, an owner or a GM putting a bad roster together, or I can understand that where a GM puts a roster with a lot of young guys. But I can't imagine a coach saying at halftime, guys, I really want to get a really good draft pick next year. Let's purposely turn over the basketball and play bad defense and not play hard. I can't imagine that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see that either, even because the coach wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like a coach like Brett Brown, I think he has too much integrity to do that, anything like that. He comes from the Spurs system. He wouldn't do anything like that. Comes from the Popovich system. So I don't think the players are trying to tank. I agree. Kobe voiced that also. He said he doesn't think the players are trying to lose because the players want to play basketball. They want to be competitive. But the owners, I definitely can see something like that, where an owner puts together a bad roster like Philadelphia, and then they just can't convert that into wins because their roster isn't as talented as the rest of the league.
Yeah, but I'm just tired of people saying that teams purposely try to tank. I mean, I don't think that players try to tank. I think that's inappropriate. I think people underestimate the integrity of NBA players, and I just can't imagine like Nerlens Noel saying, okay, every time I go up for a dunk, I'm going to purposely come up short. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you have to really show me good